Are you trying to be a snake? Is that you? Like, yeah.
I mean, I could do
I'm a
this.
snake. Look at me go. Look at me go.
Yeah, exactly.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of the Inforunners podcast. And today we are doing something special because CitizenCon, there's a lot of stuff to cover. We did our video on the Pioneer. We were like, hey, let's just bring some people in to talk about CitCon. I'm Dazan was here.
And this is Hayes, and we have two special guests today. Over to my left, and your right is Execute.
Hey guys, I'm Julian Execute.
And right over here is Snake.
Whoa, my name is Snake. Pretty straightforward with that there.
And these are some of our org mates we generally play games with, and we thought we'd bring on to a four-person panel and talking about CitizenCon and just generally go over what we think.
Yes, and the first thing is the big ticket item for a lot of us that is the Saber Raven. Near and dear to my heart. I love the Warlock, and the Raven is like, ah. And I know Snake is crying to get one.
What do you mean? I already did get one. So I don't know what you're talking about.
See that second comment in the show notes? It says stupid people we know. That's just
yeah. I know.
I just can't afford, like, what is it, $600 or $700 Australian dollars for one of these drives?
At least. And the price actually went up because the new egg one isn't always available, so you have to buy it from the other sellers, which are like $20 more. Well, or 50.
They're really like putting the Australian tax into overdrive, aren't they? It's like, it's like another $100.
It's $90. $90. It's pre-order. Yeah, before shipping, it's $90 at the moment. There's only one store that's got available pre-order down here in Oz at the moment, though.
But the thing is, these drives, they're nice, but if you have some of these performance drives that are really a lot less than this, you're not going to notice that much. Now, you'll notice a lot if you're doing a little bit more workstation, but if you're just gaming, it's not going to be that much of an improvement.
Yeah, I heard about that. And also, you actually have to look at the actual list Intel has of, what actually it is, it's compatible with.
I think that's
this is it.
Star Citizen, though, is in fact the seamless load time. So what's the point of having a drive if you've only ever going to kind of load once?
Well, it's like we've got an org member called Algrid, and he really wants to buy this because he's a ship collector, right? But his old PC, which is a second generation Intel, can't have another PCIe slot to fit the drive, and he doesn't have M2 slots, so he's like, I buy the drive, but I can't use it.
Algrid, look at me. You need to go spend some money on your PC instead of buying virtual spaceships. It's about time. I'll help you.
Oh my. But yes, it's a good drive, but it's really not worth it overall when you're looking in the grand scheme of things. You can get drives to do the same thing for less. And sadly, you can't get this ship outside of owning the drive because of the horrible thing that if you get rid of the drive, you lose the ship.
However, go on, Ace.
I got to wonder if this is a paper launch. They really don't have that much stock. I mean, like, are people really buying this, or is this just a whole bunch of crazed Star Citizen fans taking what limited stock is actually available?
Probably. I know it sold out relatively quick. At least all four freaking options. And I think the reason, like, to help boost Intel's freaking their profit and everything, they released as little information about if you can get it in game, what you can do with it, if it has LTI, and everything. I feel like that really sucks.
You kind of mentioned it. The ship doesn't even come with LTI. It's only 2 months insurance.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that was a false rumor. I think that CIG someone stated it does get LTI with the ship.
Oh, really? What's that?
Sure, some people have it already, so.
We can't exactly fly it yet, not till 3.0. When's that, next year?
No, but you can but you can see if it has LTI.
It's next summer.
And
it is an interesting ship there. I mean, like, it's listed as a medium range craft. It has more quantum fuel. It's got more fuel scoops. It looks like it's, unlike the Saber, which is a carrier craft with a short range, it does seem to be doing a very different sort of a job.
The computer cores are the interesting thing, because they kind of hinted at that it could be a data runner, but I'm almost thinking that instead of a data runner, the cores are there for, think about the fast recovery speed, because they showed in that, if you watch that video, it has a way faster recovery speed than the Warlock, and I love the Warlock, but that's its big downside, and if it can recover like that after being knocked out of with its own EMP, then that ship is going to be way better, especially with the size 3s on it.
It's also got 2 EMPs, so I think it does. I'm going to guess it does it twice the rate of the Warlock, having double the EMP number, unless it's double the size. Yeah. Well, either or maybe both.
They owe me my bet on the Warlock then.
It's more of a 10-player ship. It's meant to be used with other ships. I mean, you look at the Eclipse, you know, it's a sort of it has a very strong niche, but it's probably most effective when you EMP something and bring out of the ship, whether that's like an Eclipse or a bunch of fighters disabling a target first.
I was going to say,
it's not really going to fight itself.
Yeah, that's a huge, basically good advantage, because I mean, you know, you're gonna make the most profit, and especially pirating wise, especially like instead of destroying, you know, your target, like instead of just salvaging the scraps, you know, you can actually just enjoy it. And if disabling a ship, you know what I mean, that just
you're just justifying a purchase. You're just justifying a purchase.
I mean, hey, I mean, if it helps. You know, I mean, there's a lot of different reasons for it. You know, I mean, it can be a bright flashlight for all I care. You know, if you wanted it, go ahead.
I think this is going to be a real salt mine too, because like if they never sell this ship like 1-2 years later, that's still not selling a more generic model of it for regular people. They need to at least put out another ship that does the same sort of role.
They'll probably go the way of this thing.
I bet you they won't. Well,
I'm hoping those exclusive ships, when they're kind of released down the track, they are only exclusive until the game's released, because they kind of promised back in the Kickstarter campaign there would be no exclusive stuff ever, and they've broken it twice now. Oh, even more if you count the kiddie bikes and whatever they're called in the referral campaign.
Admittedly, that's just a skin, not a separate ship.
Still, they said no exclusivity, and they have it now in spades, or a few things.
I don't think the referral campaign was like a mountain of salt. I don't think the Saber Raven's going to produce anywhere near as much salt as that referral contest did there.
Well, I'm really hoping that they at least, even if they don't let you have a Raven, at least do what they did with the Mustang series and kind of come out with something similar to it. They can kind of do, and that makes it equivalent in a way to the Raven, but the Raven is still different.
I know. I love that.
It has 2 fuel scoops, while the variant only has 1.
or literally, you could just make it so there's the Saber, and it has, as it is now, and they make a skin, and that's what the normal people get. So it's like a duller, crappier looking version, but it's exactly the same in every single way. Kind of, well, because that's essentially what the AMD Never Settle bundle was. Is the racer was exactly the same as the other racer, except one was green, one was red.
Yeah, I still like that because it still leaves the Raven as, you know, his exclusive title. And to me, I'm really fighting, like, I really want us backers to at least have something special, like, than fair to the people who just want to join, you know, when the game comes out. You know what I mean? So I really hope. Oh, and thank you. That's exactly how I feel. I'm just trying to project.
The violin music is strong.
You can put that in post, right? That'll be fine.
Speaking of controversial salt mines, did you see the...
Ooh.
Did I see the...
I think we lost him. He's like frozen.
Either that or he's right now trying to...
Yeah. I'll just slap him around the back of the head. Hold on.
Maybe he'll start. But speaking of salt mines... the concierge black cards... Or were they black cards, VIP cards, whatever you want to call them? Holy mackerel, they went fast. And what about the world? What about America?
What?
Well, basically, these cards went on sale at 3 and 4 a.m., like my time Australian. And so by the time you wake up at, like, I think I woke up at 5 a.m. for one of them and 10 a.m. and for the other one. And it's like, well, Damn it. I had no chance to go with. I mean, the first lot sold out before the concierge email came out saying they were even on sale because it took an hour long, and some people didn't get it for like several hours later.
How come I don't have mine yet? I ordered mine in the first
Because he
batch.
has the first
That's
wave.
probably the one before. Oh, okay.
And
I'll
this is
get
one of the
mine.
original ones from like the first time they ever did them.
Well, it sort of need to cover the other time zones, like, you know, Europe, Australia. Who knows?
think
Maybe Chinese? Do we care about the Chinese?
I think they're subtly trying to hint though that they're never going to have any events down under. I think that's just a subtle word.
That's a very underhanded way of doing things.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Sucks to
bad
suck,
pun.
yes.
But
We need to make noise about CitizenCon down here for next year too, I reckon.
That
Anyway,
would be awesome
you
having
wanna
it
say?
down there.
oh yeah, we haven't had anything down here in 3 years, so I think it's time we make some noise. And Germany got 2 things in 1 year. Come on, greedy. Anyway, you were gonna say?
But I was just going to say, for people who do not know, basically what happened is there's a special card, like what Execute has over there, which
Yeah, I'll
was
get that
on
card.
sale for concierge members. It's just a cool little, like, metal card. And, well, they went on sale, and what the controversy was if they sold extremely fast with limited numbers, and it was very hard for people in different time zones to get them.
Ooh, I like that angle.
Yes.
Yeah, I was just trying to get the right angle because you can see Superhorn on it, and then besides fingerprints on the back, it's just a Star Citizen logo. But this is metal. Like I could use this as a weapon. Like it's.
Well, you know, the way they could get around this is actually announcing beforehand. It goes up for sale. So, like, you know, a couple of days in advance, say they're going to be here. There's a flash sale. At least everyone in the world at least have a chance to, you know, stay up or get up late or whenever they need to have an actual chance to get it.
Or ideally, just do it like they do with the big ships and have one every 6 hours for 24 hours. You know, like that's what they used to do with the Idris and stuff. And they'll do it again. You watch when the summer sales come up. They'll do it again. Ships will come out in 6 hour allotments. That's what they usually use.
Summer
You know, they did with
sales.
they did with the Javelin and they did it with the Idrises. And
For them it's summer. Just let's.
Yeah, because we're from the upside down. My bad. You're from the up over. It's all good. Our summer's coming up. But yeah, long story short, November sale is what we're talking about there.
Either way, the cards are awesome, and it's really awesome that they listened and actually brought them back, because those things have been how many years since they've actually released some of them?
Been 2 years since the first one, hasn't it?
Yeah, first time I've ever got an email, and it was like 2.5 years, 2 years.
So it's really nice that they did something there. So with CitizenCon, a lot of things happened, and let's talk about the new format. What did you guys think?
Personally, I love the idea that they were doing more like booths in between and the panels, because that panel content is like, you know, several chairman episodes, like one back to back after another, talking with devs, sort of stuff. That's the sort of stuff we really want to see at a CitizenCon. Personally, I thought we saw too much Disco Lando in his interviews, and like we really want to see the booths. I mean, we don't give a shit about talking with, you know, or customer reps. We see them every week, like multiple bases. Community people don't give a shit, and interviewing people at the event, I don't care about that either. Show us the booths that we didn't get to see. I mean, that would be awesome.
Of course, most of the audience is looking through, you know, watching this, you know, live and everything, and then the little small portions, you know, at the actual CitizenCon. And I think it was really good for them to experience all that, see all those different booths, and get access to all that great content. But for us, it's like, oh, okay, we'll talk to this random guy. Oh, okay. Cool. Oh, I just saw you. Oh, okay. Oh, you fucked up. Just kidding. All right.
You feel like a dog on a leash watching it, if you know what I mean. Like, you can't go where you want to go. You get led to all these shitty locations. And
Well, they really need to do take a page from Blizzard, because when Blizzard has their big convention, you can actually get virtual tickets, which not only gets you some cool in-game stuff for some of their games, but you also have the ability to actually watch it, rewatch everything, and what they really need to do with that is also take it around to the different areas so you can actually see things, and you can choose where you go. And so you get this live stream right now with what you get, but now if you buy the virtual ticket, maybe you get to go to certain areas or actually have certain interviews which aren't on the main course, in addition to some in-game content. That would be awesome to actually have.
But is it excluding people, like gating the content behind a paywall?
The
And really,
subscribers
we
already
can't-
doing that.
Yeah, but this is a big event, and also you've got if you want the content, you can go buy it. Like they gave that gun, and they had the trophy that you could buy, and I think it was like $10 US for both. So if you want your extra content, you've got that as well. Just provide it on the store, and those that want the extra content buy it. It doesn't hurt to just provide better content as a whole, and yeah, I think they only made one disconnect in the entire thing, so they are learning and improving. But they've just got to get better quality content for viewers. Like interviewing people there, no one gives a shit about that.
Well, some people do. That's why I said have an all access pass where you get to have all that extra content. Like you have the one set which everyone gets, and then you can have all these other cool tidbits that if you're interested and you want to pay a little bit, hey, make it $10 so you get both of those things, but then you get all that content in addition to that.
Yeah.
Realistically, though, they can't have a live show and a stream at the same time, so the streamers are going to be the people that miss out because people have to move from one auditorium to another and so forth. So you can't just have them chain. It just doesn't work.
Well, my favorite presentation, though, was the Xeon language, because I actually found that even better than the chairman, because I found it very interesting, the insight into how they create these aliens, and it's going to make it really immersive when you get there.
Yeah. I mean, personally, I'm not vaguely too interested because, yeah, I mean, that seems very intense. But what I love is the fact that someone is so, I love, because this game is about passionate people and people who just want to share, their love for sci-fi and gaming. And when people are so passionate about, even a language like that, it's just a saying. It just gets me, a little giddy inside about it. And I know because, I mean, I happen to have a book that teaches you how to speak Dothraki. So, I mean, a little bit guilty when it comes to that kind of stuff.
Klingon.
Look, I have to admit, they put out a full PDF on how to learn Jian and design documents and encouraging you to learn the language. It just adds so much more depth to the game. I mean, when they say you might have an NPC in game and is talking, you might have limited translation, but if you understand Jian as a language, you might be able to pick up on the random conversations that they're having with each other, but not directed at you. And you may get that bigger depth of immersion by either not understanding it or understanding exactly what they said.
Yeah.
It shows it's something deeper.
I reckon it's going to be a little bit like, how they've got those missions with the luxury missions and stuff like that. If you're talking to someone in Cyan and they realize you're not using a translator, then they're going to show more respect, or you might, so you kind of get further with them than you would if you have to use a translator. I think that realistically to me seems what it would be like. And you might get more backstory if you know how to read Cyan, whatever the fuck.
Or even trading.
But you know what I'm saying. Yeah, trading. You get further with them in trading, all that stuff, because they'll respect you more and want to work with you more because you've done the same to learn their language.
Well, it's respect, isn't it? You're showing respect to them, and they're like, "Oh, I'm impressed." That's that your reputation goes up.
Yeah.
But either way, the fact is it's fully fleshed out, and we're gonna have links below so you can take a look at some of this stuff because absolutely amazing, very interesting. And as they were talking about, the full direct translation stuff may not be in the earliest iterations. So having a base understanding might be kind of useful while they're still trying to integrate everything in.
Yeah. Well, they're releasing it episode by episode or video by video. So, I mean, you can follow along as they're doing, just like we're following along with the game. You know what I mean? So it's not really pressing right now. It's not too obvious.
I can see myself learning Banu and Xi'an just for, the sake of it. Helping with trading, helping with things, or even just for the fun of it.
Sorry.
Yeah. Well, you tell someone off in Xi'an and they go, "What the fuck?" It's like, do your
might be good
homework.
for sending secret messages. It'd be really cool if you could actually type with a keyboard. Like, have you ever seen someone type Chinese or
Japanese
with an English keyboard. They have these characters that there's like a conversion language, and it'd be cool if you could type them in English, but it comes out like Zion. It would be awesome.
Yeah. They're pretty cool.
So Hayes, I know you had a few things you wanted to mention for sure that came out of the panels.
Well, we could go over the shader and rendering panel, but look, I got to be honest. I was falling asleep during this one. It was just so technical. For reference, people, CitizenCon started at around 12 midnight for me, and then went on through to 7 a.m. and I struggled a bit.
It went to 8 a.m. because they started an hour late. Remember?
Yeah. So but it is really amazing to see the progress they've made with the engine, the shaders, the renderers. I honestly don't know any other games that puts this much effort and love and care into just you call it fidelity if you want, but the pure beautifulness of what they're trying to make.
And the quality. I love how it's like oh, the game may not be working, but at least I have this beautiful scenery to look at. And yes, I'm kind of slightly afraid, but still, like the point I'm getting at.
I swear you're gonna say a beautiful woman. It's like a beautiful woman, and I want to make sweet love to her. That's what I had.
Every time I talk, like that's usually on like the back of my mind, like it's always that. But so I'm always fighting on trying not to say inappropriate things. But
do it.
Hey,
it'll be fine.
I mean, exactly.
Stop it! Stop corrupting the poor snake.
What's
what do you mean? Stop! Here it is.
The military corrupted. It's too late, buddy. It's too late.
And then they went on to the Stanton system panel, and this was actually really interesting, showing the Hurston, the huge pollution and mining planet, some of that ecosystem, those baobab trees. I think I like this the best as all the planets that they had to show us.
Well, the planets are awesome. I will say that because they have put so much thought into this, and the thing I love is when they actually had like the build your own settlement kind of as they were getting the do you remember that live stream where they were having the people pull and then they were kind of building the story behind one of the settlements in the system?
No. I barely joined. Like it's literally been like over a year since I've realized this game exists. Yeah. So it's been a bit. I know it's been a busy year for me though, so it's fine.
And I know
I'm going to be honest. I feel that's the panel I fell asleep in. So I lasted the panel longer than you, but then I fell asleep in that one. So I'll have to go watch that one if it's that good. But it was the one I was looking forward to. But I just can't stay. Wait. So yeah.
It's the one where the Nox flew up into the sky and then came back down again. But no, it was really beautiful. They really showed off the planet tech. The moons and everything else. It was basically showing, this is what is past 3.0. So yeah.
I mean, it's beautiful what they did. Like, I'm so happy because, like, everyone's been talking shit in Star Citizen as far as, like, oh, here's Elite Dangerous. Oh, here's this game. Oh, it's another No Man's Sky. But it's, like, just to see that procedural tech, what they did. Because it's not just like, oh, we'll just generate this little city right here. No, it's, like, it's detailed. You know what I mean? Like, it's pretty just beautiful to look at. Like, I know at some point I'm gonna be flying through the cities like that for like a 30 minutes. And
I thought Chris Roberts said you couldn't fly through the cities. He was just flying through it to demonstrate that it is not going to be just a skybox.
No. They said you can't go close enough to the main areas because they don't want people crashing into like trying to kill NPCs and stuff.
Well, honestly, I was expecting they were going to talk about the freaking the aircraft controller system. How like as soon as it's all automated. Like that's what I thought it was.
I did find it odd it wasn't in there.
Yeah. I actually don't, because that amazes me that he was. I was like, oh my god, this isn't. So it's like you're actually doing this, so you're not like, oh, avoid that side that's not even detailed at all, but no.
I'm pretty sure what he said was he was not sure whether they'd allow you to fly through cities like he was or not, and they hadn't really decided yet whether they wanted an automated guidance or a bit more freedom. They said still think about that.
If you go back and listen to it, he literally says to the close areas, to the common areas. That's the words he used, and that changes it quite a bit. Just real quick about what you were saying about the haters there, Snake. One of the things I found really interesting was actually show how they construct them using the editor and stuff like that. I think that was really clever because it showed it wasn't just this one-time prefabricated city. It was, hey, look, we can generate this on the fly, and they even showed it loading in and stuff like that. So I thought that was really clever.
I know
so much more
you.
real.
Yeah, and I know you know more about that than us because I know you were saying you're what was it? You were in game developing.
Yeah.
Not correct. Yeah, so especially like when you hear like people like you, it's like you really when you know what's going on, you really appreciate like holy crap what they're doing. It's amazing.
It's the same thing why they did the shader and rendering panel. Quite honestly, they were just trying to show the everyman what's involved. But it is a technological overload, and people like Hayes fall asleep. So, or Hayes, if I point that way, yeah.
That way.
Well, I will say, being as we've jumped ahead to the main feature, the Chris Roberts presentation, I will have to say the other thing that the haters can't say is this is a scam anymore, because they might say, oh, well, this was just a pre-recorded. No, it wasn't. You heard the crowd just say jump, 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 and you heard the terror of Chris Roberts' voice where he's like, oh, it sounded like he was thinking, oh no, if he does that, he's going to break the game. He's going to break the game. And you see him jump off and then go back on, and you're like, this is real.
Yeah.
It was amazing how the Area 18 with the ArcCorp, like that was a city they've had for a long time. They've integrated the actual original landing zone into the procedural city so seamlessly. It sort of shows that they really can handle that.
You really appreciate it when you go back and watch it again, because you're like, oh man, it's just like what we have now. And then it's like, and I was like, oh, this is cool. We're finally getting to see something a couple of years on. But then it like just expands and expands and expands. So there was. It kind of catered the older folk that have been around for a really long time myself, and then the newer folk like Snake as well. So, yeah, it was good. I think it's one of the best presentations they've done. I guess this is probably a little bit off tangent, but one of the things I did want to talk about is I'm looking forward to see the other planetary tech that we see down the line.
I was really hoping they were going to show us some more of the interiors, because I know when they were blotting out the city, they were showing certain areas which will have interiors, and most of it won't. But I'd like to actually see what extent in the areas that players are going to be around can you go into buildings.
Well, to me, like stuff like that, it's like it sucks because I feel like they have to fight. It's like people are like players are hypocritical. They want all this detail. They want everything, like like you said, every building explored and such. But then it's like, but they want a very FPS loss-free environment, very netcoding to be on point, and I feel like that's just more data that they get a lot into this gigantic engine.
Who's going to explore every building? Seriously.
That said, though, with the tech they've got, right, the ability to randomly generate and procedurally generate these interiors, why couldn't they just go, all right, so yeah, every building can have an interior, but we're not going to remember what it is. So if you go in there, might be different next week. So what they could then do with that is they could say, hey, you've got to go do this quest, and you've got to go to this particular place on ArcCorp to this particular address, and they randomly generate the location. You go in and do the quest, and then you go out, and it just despawns it.
What I think they're going to do, though, is get the
interesting
procedural generation of a room and then get an artist to go over it nicely. So they may not have like thousands of possibilities. They might be only like 100 or 200 different rooms, which could then link into several different quests. So like it'd be very unlikely for you ever to visit the same place twice if it was a different mission. And so, to your mind, it seems like it's expansive and there's places all over the place. But because you don't visit every single place, you just don't know.
Yeah.
That, disbelief fills in the gaps, the imagination.
The more important part is they've actually got room there to do whatever they want to do. And there's nothing to say down the line they can't do what I just said or the very variant of what you just said. They've got room to expand now. Now they've got this tool set. They've just got it's just time, and I think that's the biggest killer of this game is because it's such a big scope. It's just taken forever to get anything done. So,
and if they keep on waiting for the latest tech, it'll be forever.
That's the thing, though. There's just so much tech in this game. It's just like everything that comes out is never been done before. And I show people, like I showed a guy last night that was like, he was a 6-year-old guy, and his eyes was like a kid in a candy store. Every time I love showing people this game, they just like, what the fuck is this game? This game is insane. And I'm like, oh, and it's not done yet, and they're going to do this, and this, and this is just the first like gas giant with 3 moons, and they go into a whole solar system, and then they go, oh, what? And then you go, and then that's the first of 100, and they're like, what? And they lose their shit.
Yeah.
So,
It's gonna be amazing.
There's people who complain there's only 3 to 5 systems at start launch that they've sort of hinted at. You know, you're going to get lost in one system for like.
Yeah,
you know,
I was gonna
weeks.
say, like you can probably play your whole game just in one system.
Some people nitpick when they realize that how expansive these worlds are going to be. It's just like, it's crazy.
And travel, because just think about it. It took 8 minutes to get to that moon, but let's just say hypothetically you wanted to go to the other 4 planets over, and another system, or 4 systems over. How long would that take? I mean, seriously. Plus, with all the interruptions, the refuels, plus if you find something interesting, the rabbit trails, you could be taking days.
They actually stated to visit all systems, they're speculating it's going to take 22 hours. Just to visit every single system. As quickly as you can, to go around every single system will take 22 hours. So, does that answer your question?
But that's still days, because your average person is not going to be on for 22 hours straight, though.
No, but what idiot's going to visit every system once and just go in a straight line?
Tourism.
Yeah.
That's assuming no
I do find
interruptions.
it's also shown a really important thing with the transporting between 2 planets is singular ships like the Aurora. You're barely going to be able to get up and walk around inside the ship, but big ships, you're going to have a lot to do. You know, you're going to spend a lot of time socializing with your crewmates and stuff like that.
Or imagine even fixing repairs midway.
Yep.
You know, just actually doing work and maintenance that you would normally put off. It's like, oh, I've got the time for this now. So, you know, pull out a drive and, start repairing it, doing some maintenance, swap everything out, it's all good.
Yeah, there'll be some pulling out involved, I'm sure. Anyway.
Why you gotta look at me for that?
The travel times.
I'll look at you. All right, hang on.
Anyway, let's segue into the ships. I mean, like they showed, for those who missed it, the Razor. They also showed the Terrapin, and personally I'm like, but does it fly?
The Terrapin, he said, doesn't fly.
Yeah. But they did say, like, some of the devs did say the Reclaimer, like, I think was it after CitizenCon or separately on social media, that the Reclaimer is now flight ready.
Yeah, it just doesn't mine yet. So I think we're starting to see that they're going to start holding things off until their mechanic is ready. So I think things like the Orion and the Reclaimer, we're not going to see them until their stuff comes online. So that makes me think things like, does that mean the Banu is going to come straight in because it's a cargo ship? Does it mean something like the Carrack's going to be held off until we see the Explorer mechanic come in?
Well, they got the whole sea almost done. I wouldn't be surprised if they put that in straight away. They got no excuses.
Yeah.
Why can't you just walk around it, though? I mean, at least let us walk around it. Just have it in a hangar or in just a small field for us to play with.
And the Reclaimer's a bit like the Starfarer. It's actually got cargo, so you could still technically do cargo runs with it. So, and I just want it because believe it or not, it's the ship I want to play the most. It's my most gameplay oriented ship. So, yeah.
I just
Speaking
can't
of,
wait for a bigger ship than the Starfarer. That's beautiful.
What's your ship? The one ship you're waiting for, then, Snake?
What? I already have it. I don't know what you're talking about. The Idris. So.
Yeah, you're waiting for it in game, so you don't have it.
Yeah,
You lied to me.
Well, no. Hey, we've seen more of my ship now of your ship, unfortunately. So.
We are talking about ships here, right? Yeah. Okay. Just cool. Yep. Good.
Yes. Yes.
Speaking of, they did say the difference between the Starfarer and the Gemini cargo-wise is that 2 of the cargo pods were the fuel canisters. There's 2 less on the Gemini than there is on the Starfarer.
I still can't get an answer. I tried to message Mark Sherman or whatever his name is, Matt Sherman, and get an answer. But apparently the rumor flying around is the 2 pods that are missing are actually armored pods. So it really doesn't actually lose them. It gains these. You lose the refinery, and you get these bigger armored cargo pods. So it still has 6 pods in total, but it has to lose the refinery to get the armored pods.
Personally, I think it makes sense for the last pods actually block the rear turrets. So if you take away those pods completely, you got better coverage of the rear turrets. So that may be a factor as well. Yeah.
I'm starting to get a little bit disappointed with the way things are going. If you look at the new ship matrix, I know that was something we're going to talk about too. But to give you an example, I have an upgrade for a Warden to a Harbinger. And they've now announced that this Sentinel, the original ship, has a size 5 gun on the nose, where the other 2 variants only has a size 4. So now did I buy something I don't want now? Like,
Yeah.
like
that ship matrix is full of errors. They've said, Ben's been quoted as saying these are where there's a lot of mistakes and they need time to go over and fix them.
I hope they do.
I thought this was the fixed version. Sadly, I was like, oh.
I mean, the ships
looks
that
amazing
should
now.
have SCU and they say to be decided. It's not even there. Or like, the Phoenix is missing its PDS, or some of the cargo stuff is completely out of whack. And so there's all sorts of weapons are missing, and it's a bit of a mess. Hopefully they sort it out sooner than later.
So basically, they updated the look of it, but nothing really changed.
Wow.
I think they tried to update it, but it's not there.
Can you see my conundrum though? Because they've said the Harbinger's got more armor, but a smaller gun. So now, and even if it is not fixed, as you're saying, that just makes more confusion. And coming up to the sale, people are going to make big sweeping changes. And when things have just been changed, they're going to be like, oh, so if they've just changed them, so maybe this is how it's going to be. So they're going to make drastic decisions that are probably going to
based on
their ship choices.
You're right. It should have the same size, because what they've talked about is whether the gun is fixed or has a gimbal. It doesn't change the size of the mounting on the thing. It's irrespective. It should be listed as this size. So, it's probably just, again, they haven't finished.
But it also makes sense because most ships, when they upgrade, they get more hard points, not smaller or less hard points. So, yeah, I'm assuming it's a mistake at this point.
It'll be interesting to see. I did enjoy that they did a huge series before the ship matrix explaining everything. Here's cargo. Here's variants. Oh, here's how these different weapons work. That was actually really useful.
A return to ship design documents, which is really good, because we had spent years without any design documents, and suddenly we're getting flooded with them. So it sort of shows that they're finally starting to lock down features and sort of gameplay mechanics, which is good to see.
It'd just be nice to see up-to-date information, because obviously, I know you guys know this more than me. You've dealt with outdated information for years and years, and finally, like, okay, here you go, and then they're like, oh, wait, what?
The thing I'll say though is every time they do something and it's wrong, and the fans have said, hey, this needs to be fixed, it's a little bit unfair. Generally speaking, they fix it. I think the only time I can think of when they didn't really fix it, or actually no, they did, but it just took a bit while, is like the referral program where they added more things in. They always seem to listen and fix it, and every time we've had questions, you can generally fix it. And I reckon even if you say did do something drastic with your ships and you contacted customer support, I actually reckon they'll let you undo it after there'd been an incident like this. So I think they're pretty good, and I've got a bit of trust in CIG because I think they've shown me that they've earned it. So I think you'll find no matter what mistakes are made, you'll be able to undo them.
There were some interesting changes to some of the ships. If you look at the 890 jump now with about 1500 SCU, whether that's accurate or not, that's like more than a Carrack. Suddenly it's not just a cruise liner. You could probably use it for other purposes. Another interesting one was the hull series are now completely remote turrets, 100%. There are no more manned turrets in the hull, which is probably a good thing.
That's actually really nice. Yeah. Kind of a welcome change, so that way you can actually do a larger hull series with a little bit less crew.
Just means you focus fire the front of the ship and take out the entire bridge crew in one go, and the thing's done. Yeah, cool, no worries.
My personal favorite.
Torpedo to the face.
The Banu Merchantman. Oh,
yes.
Have you seen it? It appears to be at least 3 size 6 weapons, if I got that right. And then, you got 2 size 5s. And there's this one random size 6, which I don't understand. It has a group 3 size 6 on it, and then it has one random size 6, and then I'm looking at the page right now, and I'm trying to figure that one out.
160 meters. The cargo went down from 5,000 to about, was it 3,600? But I've got a theory on that. This is a ship that's as big as a Polaris, except it's got to have crew, which Polaris has equivalent crew. Half the Polaris is dedicated to torpedoes, and the original Banu Merchantman 100 meters could actually fit 5,000 SCU. There were people on the forums who worked out, yes, this has enough physical room for that much cargo. I think, despite the fact the ship grew to 160 meters and still reduced its cargo, is not so much towards the fact that the NPC metrics were not in alignment for bridge and rooms and ship stuff. I think it's more the fact that they're going to fit that hangar in for that Defender like they suggested during the Defender sale. They said, we're looking at it, but we're not making any promises. And I think the fact that the cargo dropped so much, I think they've decided that, yes, we can fit this in. It is a trade-off.
I really like that because that goes about a point that I made a long time ago, where why it'd be more viable, like strategically and economically, to have a fleet of abandoned merchantmen than hulls. Because it's like you still have to protect those hulls in some way, so you have to provide it with, a larger capital ship or something, or at least escort force. Whereas abandoned merchantmen, it can generally handle its own, as far as against larger targets, and then you got defenders. So it's like, it's just this all-in-one package. And unlike some other ones where it's like, yeah, it does this kind of okay, yeah, it does this one, it excels at everything. You know what I mean?
Yes.
No, I got no idea.
Oh, damn it. Well, fuck. All right then.
One other interesting thing was, if you go to the game packs, did you notice the new pack that they added?
No, I didn't.
Tell me. Don't take me too long to go look at it. Just tell me.
It's called the Verse Pack. So they added a Verse Pack for $7.95.
Oh, the Verse Pack.
USD. Basically, you get an Aurora, Mustang, 300i, Avenger Stalker, Reliant Core, Cutlass Black, your basic Hornet, your Freelancer, Andromeda, and a Dragonfly, all in one little pack. Kind of a cool idea, a little bit smaller, but it has no LTI.
Yeah, all the redundant ships that you're not going to really want long term.
Yes, that's the biggest issue with it. But I think it's interesting that they're changing that.
Probably the Hornet and the Constellation is the only two you'll probably hold on to long term.
Cutlass.
Maybe the Cutlass. Yeah, Cutlass. But everything else, I think, will fall wayside to other ships, unfortunately.
It's an interesting concept, them changing up the current game package to something a little bit more reasonable, but it's also sad to see LTI go, and it's also sad that they didn't go with career-based packs. It would be awesome to see them actually have that in your system, where you could pick up ships that align with particular careers.
At that price, you'd be better off to pick up a Pioneer, wouldn't you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Speaking of segueing into the Pioneer... Damn, Pioneer. I know we won't talk too much about the ship itself, but we will talk about the mechanics that this is bringing in, the idea of colonization, and the fact that it now ties into the end-to-end economy with all the other ships now. I mean, it's a really big deal. I mean, not so much the idea that you can build homesteads, but the fact that we're now filling in the players are going to populate all the big space in planets that aren't already built up, like Hearst and like Microtech and like ArcCorp. Basically, all those moons and all those uninhabited planets, players are going to be what is actually out there, and it's going to be up to us to fill that out. That is really huge. It shows you the direction the game is going.
Mm-hmm. I do. Like, you and I have talked during the week, so we've talked about this to death almost. But the one thing I am really curious about with this ship is its limitations when it comes to what it can build on the ground, and is it going to have any advantage to, say, a ship that they build that can build in space? Because if they bring out a ship later on that can build in space, I think this is kind of a waste of money. But that unless it's got things that it can build on the ground that can't be used in space. So... Yeah. As soon as they build some kind of space station ship, most people are going to build a base in space. Like, I can see an org like ours or another org building in an asteroid field and just putting, space stations that are literally like just turrets and parking all your ships inside, literally like a sphere of space stations that protect their ships. Because then you can randomly hide it anywhere you want, where as soon as you put it on the land, it kind of limits where you can put it. Is in, well, it's got to be on a planet somewhere. Where in space I can literally hide it completely up in the corner of the map where no one's ever going to find it. That's my only concern with this ship at all.
It should be
everything else I really like about it.
Because when we were doing our last episode, we were talking about this, and we pointed out there's several things. First of all, they mentioned with the Game Changer I don't know how far back, they mentioned the term satellites. And that was something that was important. And they also have a tractor beam on this, which makes a lot of sense for in space. So those two things combined kind of like individually you could say okay, maybe, but when you hear both of those terms kind of combined, it makes you think you can build in space with this.
I don't think so because of how the buildings are placed. They're built inside and then placed out. Purely based on that, how do you build a space station and then kind of place it when it's designed? It'd be a very small space station. I think you're more likely to see some kind of ship that's kind of 3D prints as it goes type of thing. If it was to do big space stations,
well, you never know.
There's a couple of questions for that in the Q&A that hasn't come out yet, so hopefully they talk about that a bit more. The other thing I noticed in the stats page is that it's actually listed as a heavy repair - science ship, which is a bit unusual because that's outside of its general role.
That's what that arm on the side's for. It's for reclaiming old buildings, or as you and I were talking about, if we wanted to move up shop, you would just pick up the entire whole base, like scrap it or reclaim it, whatever you want to call the word. And scavenge it up and then move it to a new place and use half of those resources or whatever the amount is going to be to build the new base at your new location. That's why it's that. And also being able to repair houses that might have storm damage or been attacked or something like that.
I wonder if you can repair a small ship.
I don't think you should draw off the window.
I don't think so. I don't think you're going to be able to repair ships with it. I think you might be able to land on the landing pad and might be able to do some basic, hand repair. But I think if it does any ship repair, sorry, I got a really itchy face all of a sudden. It's going to take away too much from the Crucible. And the Crucible, I think it, like we've talked about this a bit, me and Hayes, it's got such a limited role as it is, and there's not many people that have them. And taking that away from them,
that's a bit too much.
It's a bit too much, yeah. I think more likely, realistically, we're more likely to probably see a medium-sized construction ship of some description along the line, and that'll probably, maybe even if it's just a delivery ship, so it might just be one that can deliver very small houses, so maybe just the one, and it's flat packed on the back, almost like one of the. I said this before, but some of the Americans might not get this. There's these trucks in Australia that basically deliver bricks to people, and it's just basically a little crane on the back.
Technical difficulties, and continue on.
Yeah, so we were talking about the possibility of a medium ship for construction purposes, and in Australia we have lots of little minivans that have cranes on the back. So I'm imagining something like that might just deliver it instead of fabricate, or maybe even something simple like with the tractor beam, so a mini version of the surveyor arm with a crane or something like that. Anyway.
It'd definitely be interesting. I still say the biggest disappointment with the Pioneer sale was the lack of a smaller vessel that does something similar. Maybe not 3D printing, but just what you're saying, or even the ability, as I was thinking of, think like your closet, and you just have everything slammed together, all of your walls, and you just assemble them then.
Speaking of a lack of the limited sale, the credit versions went like boop. It disappeared into thin air. I know I was actually lucky enough. I actually bought a war bond because I was afraid that I would get gimped out of being able to get a credit one at all. And lo and behold, I managed to get 2 credit ones as well. I know.
So you're the one who took them all.
Yeah, I'm guilty as charged.
324 left right now on the war bond edition, by the way, as of this recording.
Yeah, and so we got a number of them in the org. I know a number of war whales got them. I think we're up to 10, not including the 2 extra that I got. But if it turns out to be a really sort of like end-to-end economy, and you really need to be able to build like mining refinery places, or like science labs and drug labs to process stuff people do, maybe this is a bigger thing than we know, but we won't know till later. So keeping those 2 in advance just in case it turns out to be something more very important people to have, because when an org has something like 50 Orions and 50 reclaimers, but then they've only got 10 of these other things that they need to build the nodes to process all those ores, or whatever equipment they end up getting, it might turn out important.
Definitely
I think that's kind of a thing as a whole when it comes to ships and Star Citizen. You just don't know which ones are the most viable at the moment, and the whole thing, as well as waiting for the game, is literally waiting to see what ships are good and which ships are not as required. I don't think there's a bad ship. It's literally just a numbers game. It's just when you're talking in org terms.
Well, we can't really like finalize any numbers anyway, because everything's always subject to change. It's going to change with every patch.
It's half the fun. I hate to say, the theory crafting and the meta game is actually almost as fun as the actual game will be, in a way. And I guarantee you're going to be the things you're going to be doing is you're traveling from point A to point B for that 8-minute quantum. You're going to be sitting here trying to optimize stuff or thinking, I wonder if I do this. And that's half the fun. I mean, it's like getting a prize or earning something. The anticipation of something is actually more exciting than the actual thing. Think like a vacation. The anticipation of the vacation usually is more fun than the event itself.
I mean, I could use an example in the total opposite direction. Like, I feel like the worst part is getting ready for something. Like, doing the actual job takes like 2 minutes, but getting ready for it takes like 500.
To each their own. So
I'm just gonna say no comment.
Ooh.
Okay, so let's talk about let's end this out on this big question: what type of tech do we need to see as a reality, or have we yet to see, or do we need to see? And I'd like to lead this out by saying spectrum integration. I'd like to actually see that come in a little bit sooner rather than later. Because right now, the party system, when you go in 3.0, if it's the same party system we currently have, it's going to be messed up. As well as it'll be nice to actually have access to like forums or community chats and things like that in-game and be able to add friends a little bit easier or find people, oh, I had a great mission with this guy. Let me just hook them up on Spectrum.
Yeah, I think we're seeing the start of that with the face over IP stuff, so they're definitely starting to talk about it, aren't they?
Well, the thing is, we need basic voice communications in game, and we need like org groupings and like parties, and so it's easy to group up and find and join in with your friends. I mean, they're nowhere near close to that. And what I'd personally like to see is the mobile version of Spectrum, because that's how Discord is so useful. So yeah, I think it's got a long way to go.
That'd be awesome if you can like get your phone and it's got like the little face of their avatar talking to you. And then you go back to them.
Oh
and
my
use the camera in your phone.
What they have talked about.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Like all the Spectrum, like the Star Map and like the MFDs, all these things should be able to work on the phones and stuff. They just got to open it up to the APIs, and people will actually write their own.
Yeah,
exactly.
Like that's so exciting to think about that. And then also with like people like me who heavily use voice attack when it comes to Star Citizen. I mean, to me that stuff is more viable when you're in a fighter or something in a single, where you have to handle everything. Compared to obviously if you're in a multi-group ship, you got 2 other people that do that for you. But to me, like this game is based on like playing with your friends, playing in an organization, playing with a bunch of people, and that's where you get the most experiences and you benefit the most. So to me, it makes a perfect sense why they should emphasize so much more, a little bit more on the multiplayer aspect of it, making it enjoyable.
Meeting new friends is the big thing, because right now adding a friend is a pain, because it's not just you add them and then they get a random request that they accept. You add them and then they have to go through this long process to add you, and then if you're not online or if you're online and you join earlier and it's a mess.
Power's back on.
Yes, we're
Thanks,
having
Mom.
difficulties.
Thanks,
It's
Mom.
my fault. Okay.
That was his stagehand, just letting him know the power's back on.
Yeah. So the stage asking him when they're going to get paid.
Speaking of other important,
Never!
nasty.
Never!
You haven't paid us this month. Are you going to?
Faster, little slaves!
I think the other things that's really holding the game back from a full release will be things like the network server meshing and the complete network refactor. Because until we can see not only just 60 FPS but like 100 person in a single area in an instance, that's going to be what holds this game back. So I think that's going to be one of those elements that until they do that, there's no chance we'll get proper release or even full beta.
Or capital
I think
ships.
it's the the single most fundamental thing at the moment. If that comes into place, I think everything else will probably slide in around it. And with the tech that they've shown and how advanced it is, this is probably still one of the most advanced things that we haven't seen. So once that's in place, I think the whole thing will. I can see the vision happening.
I suppose the other thing that might take a little longer is the ship NPC AI in order to run those bigger ships. Like getting a full complement of human players on those big ships is a little bit too much to ask for most people. So just having some NPCs to fill in the slots, that's the other thing that will be holding it back from
accurately do
release.
And they're probably flying it because you don't want to see some Vandal capital ship and be like, oh shit, this is gonna be insane, and it just spins. You're like, oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Admittedly, I do want that Death Star moment with the Super Star Destroyer going boom.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, well, they talked about that in the new Star Wars, where they actually have a auxiliary bridge in the very center of it. Well, apparently they learned. You know what I'm talking about? When the A-wing goes, yes. And then he crashes to the bridge.
I just picture the Vandal capital ship ramming another one on accident. Or actually, more likely, spawning inside of it is more likely what's going to happen.
With all the areas they're making, you're talking about the AI and subsumption. My big worry is AI getting stuck in places, and you'll get this AI that's got a 24-hour cycle, but it can't get out of the closet. So how the hell does it go anywhere?
I think when it gets stuck, it's going to be like a lemming, and it's going to go. Problem solved.
Maybe they starve to death if they don't get food. That'd be great. So it just
That's right.
to despawn.
It's like a skeleton in your closet because it got stuck in there. It's like.
One randomly walks in your room and dies, and one randomly walks in your room and dies, and you get accused of murder, so you have to go to jail. That'd be fun.
No one will work for you again because you have a record of killing your employees.
Anyway, the other thing I really want to see is fully realized Crisis jungles and stuff. So the real dense jungles that we saw in Crisis that we were kind of promised that earlier on. I think that's one other thing that they'll be able to do. But again, that's all going to come down to networking. And, we've seen the level of procedural cities. I think the only other real procedural one I want to see, because once I see it, I know they'll be able to do everything else, is something like a jungle where it's really lush and, it can be alien. But I want to see that density. I want to see that more natural environment. And if you look at the moons they've got at the moment, they're really different versions of deserts. So we've got a sandy one, an ice one, and a rocky one. Sorry?
I think they haven't actually started the optimization process to see what the engine can actually do, running on proper hardware. When they start moving full into Vulkan, we'll start to see them heavily optimizing it to run on different equipment. So maybe if they can highly optimize that, then we might start seeing that dense jungle. At the moment, they might not be sure that they can do it. So, maybe not until after they go through the optimization process that they might know, yes, no, that sort of a decision.
Well,
yeah, that's true.
Big part of the jungle is the animals.
Yep.
Desert jungle, lots of animals. Yeah, we saw some of there.
What was that little spider thing? Yeah.
It was like a squid and a spider in one.
Yeah.
Floating around.
Flies.
A squider. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
But what you really need is the ability for not just procedurally generated environments like that, but also animals that kind of are adapted to it. Like you have certain base templates, but they can start getting, let's say, well, we're going to elongate this. The computers say, well, it needs elongated wings, or it needs more fur, or it needs something to survive in a cold environment, or a warmer environment is going to have less fur. It's going to be designed just a little bit differently. Tweaks like that are really what they need to do too. So that way it's not just, oh, it's this animal, this stock animal. It's like you could actually run into unique creatures out there as well.
I think that's it. We've ended the episode. Tell us if you like this group-based I guess it's a round table. If you'd like to see more of it, put it in the comments. Tell us what you think. Tell us what you think of those very special guests. Yeah.
Yeah, that one's drunk.
Me.
I was
Yeah.
drunk.
No, this is all I drink, so I don't think it would qualify
Okay,
as
then
being
he's
drunk.
high.
It's hard.
Yes.
I was gonna say
Yes.
it's only vodka in there. It's fine.
It's only, yeah. You know, I have done that before. It actually tastes quite good. But I forget.
Like 5
But
minutes
then-
ago when you fell.
Yeah,
asleep.
exactly.
Yeah.
But then I forget it's vodka, and I'm like, you know, two monsters later, I'm like, oh shit, why do I feel like this? I'm like, oh, vodka. Who would have thunk it?
Yeah, your
Yeah,
body feels
so-
like it wants to kill itself in multiple ways. Your heart's giving out, and your liver's dying at the same time.
I know, like that's what I told myself. Like, you know, I don't drink, so at least I don't have to worry about my liver. But I drink a lot of monsters, so it's like liver or heart. Which one do I need more?
Well, Snake,
Both eventually.
Execute, thank you for coming on to the show. You guys definitely have livened it up quite a bit from our normal gatherings. And again, guys, please leave comments below. We do read them all. We don't necessarily respond to them all, sadly, because time has been very of the essence. And we hope to have some more regular videos out for you soon. So,
And maybe I'll get on an answer for you this week. How about that? You want to do some of
Yeah.
those with me, Snake?
Yeah, of course, buddy.
Yeah.
You might be seeing more of our
Five.
friends
Play 5.
in future.
That's right.
This is the worst
I feel
Brady
like
Bunch
the cat-
ever.
I feel like the cat playing with the ball is just like,
Oh, my nuts! Oh!
no. Now you're gonna make it awkward because now I just picture you. Yeah. Let's just go on
Okay,
with
guys.
it. Just go
before
on
anything else
Fruit
happens,
berries.
see you around.
All right, bye.
That's your hand.
Bye.